Hey, thanks for making it back to Veterans Info Tap. I'm glad you made it. Hey, wanted to talk to you about dependency indemnity compensation. This is that spouse or dependent or parent benefit that puts additional compensation dollars in their pocket. Now, wanted to kind of dive into it a little bit, let you know I'm still out traveling right now, and we'll be back probably, I don't know, maybe in a week or so. So I'm kind of just doing what I can from hotels for you. But in any case, I wanted to talk about some of the qualifiers for it and a really, really important piece when it comes to what it takes for a spouse, dependent, or parent to obtain dependency indemnity compensation if you were to pass away. And this important information is not fun to talk about, but I will tell you the worst thing in the world, and I've been on this side of it many times, and it's horrific, is to find out from somebody who would qualify or does qualify for dependency indemnity compensation, and sadly they were not aware of it, and it wasn't for many years later that finally they talked to somebody who mentioned that they should go to somebody and have a conversation. So that's a bad place to be, right? 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, to find out that this type of stuff exists. So it's an important thing. I've talked about it before. I talked about putting together that binder with, whatever, if you have life insurance, Social Security benefits, dependency indemnity compensation, that type of stuff can all go in a file, right? I get one of those ones that has the extra breaks in it with the little 2-hole punch. And it's got different tabs in there, 3 or 4 different tabs, and so you can, it just makes everything super easy. It's kind of like the if I die file. Here's the keys to the city. So I'm just going to read through it on the VA's website here. But again, at some point where it makes sense in here, I'm gonna really explain the importance of documenting information and also getting death certificates amended to get you approved for dependency indemnity compensation. So if you don't qualify because the veteran's death certificate is not correct for qualifying purposes, there may be a way that you can get it amended to be able to do that. So I'll explain that here on what I'm talking about in a minute. So I'm going to read off the VA's website here about VA DIC for spouses, dependents, and parents. If you are the surviving spouse, child, or parent of a service member who died in the line of duty, or a survivor of a veteran who died from service-related injuries or illnesses, you may be able to get tax-free monetary benefit called VA Dependency and Indemnity Compensation, VA DIC. Find out if you can get VA benefits or compensation. Information for survivors with PACT Act-related claims. If you think you are eligible for VA DIC under the PACT Act, you can submit a new application. And what they're talking about here is you might not have qualified before because the service member was not service-connected for the condition in which they passed away from. But now with the PACT Act making a lot of these conditions presumptive, if the veteran had passed away from a now presumptive condition, you're good to go. You need to refile that and get that claim going again. Also, on that, if you file it before August 10th of 2023, there's a good chance you'll get back paid or backdated back to August 10th, 2022. So it says here, if we denied your claim in the past and we think you may be eligible now, we'll try to contact you. So the VA is trying to do its due diligence and go back through its records. Don't wait for them, okay? Don't wait for them. Do it yourself. Reach out to them. File a new claim. It says we may be able to reevaluate your claim, but you don't need to wait for us to contact us before you reapply, which is what I just said. So here I'm going to go with the surviving spouse. There's other options you can choose, but I'm just going to go into the surviving spouse modality here. All right. Eligibility. You may be eligible for VA benefits or compensation if you meet these requirements. One of these must be true. You lived with the veteran or service member without a break until their death. Or, if you're separated, you weren't at fault for the separation. So one of those must be true. And one of these must be true. You married the veteran or service member within 15 years of their discharge from the period of military service during which the qualifying illness or injury started or got worse. Or you were married to the veteran or service member for at least 1 year. Or you had a child with the veteran or service member. Then it says here, note, if you are remarried, you can receive or continue to receive compensation if one of these describes you. So, in most cases, if you remarry, you cannot, it goes away, you don't get it anymore. However, there's a couple carve-outs, okay? The carve-outs are this. You can remarry and you can continue to receive dependency indemnity compensation if you remarried on or after December 16th, 2003. If you remarried on or after December 16th, 2003, and you were 57 years of age or older at the time you remarried. So you must have been 57 years or older and after December 16th, 2003. Or you remarried on or after January 5th, 2021, and you were 55 years of age or older at the time you remarried. So they dropped the age down. You don't need to be 57 anymore. Now you can be 55. Okay, so that's the change. Evidence. You'll need to provide evidence with your claim, you as the surviving spouse in this situation, that one of these descriptions is true of the veteran or service member. Evidence may include documents like military service records, doctor's reports, medical tests, results, etc. Provide evidence showing that one of these is true. There's 3 bullets. The service member died while on active duty for training, or inactive duty training. Or the veteran died from a service-connected illness or injury. Here's the part I'm going to tell you about. The veteran died from a service-connected illness or injury. It's a little bit deceiving because we, 99.9% of us, think that cause of death is one thing on a death certificate, and then that's kind of it. You either died of this, and you either made it, or it either qualifies or it doesn't. The death certificate has the cause of death, and then it also has an area for contributing cause of death or contributing causes of death. So, a quick example, we had a spouse come in, husband passed away of a heart attack. So cause of death was a heart attack. He had no issues with his heart, rated with the VA, not service connected for anything with his heart. She had filed a claim for DIC, and she was rejected. So we looked at it, we went through his claim, went through all of his paperwork, and he had some circulatory issues in his legs. Those circulatory issues were able to be added on to the death certificate as a contributing cause to death. And then we reapplied, and guess what? She was approved and she got awarded DIC. So very important. Contributing cause to death. It's kind of like secondary conditions on the regular filing a claim side, right? So you have your cause of death and then you have your contributing causes of death. So if you can link one of your service-connected conditions as a contributing cause to the death, you can win that DIC claim. The next one here is the veteran didn't die from a service-connected illness or injury, but was eligible to receive VA compensation for service-connected disability rated as totally disabling for a certain period of time. Okay, so what they're talking about there is that if the veteran was, typically what we're looking at is a 10-year time frame. if the veteran is 10 years receiving 100% permanent and total, or not permanent, just 100%. If the veteran was receiving 100% for 10 years, you can pass away from anything. The dying from a service-connected condition or contributing, all that goes out the window. It doesn't matter. You can get hit by a bus, and your spouse can get DIC. The next thing here on this, it states if the veteran's eligibility was due to a rating of total disabling, they must have had this rating. So if you were 100%, if the veteran was 100%, they say they must have had this rating for at least 10 years before their death. Okay, so in my little file folder that I created, and I talked about dependency and indemnity compensation, I know that I was rated 100% here, so I marked it out 10 years and said if it's past this date, I can get hit by a bus. If it's before this date, it has to be service connected, or one of my conditions has to be a contributing cause. Since they're so for at least 10 years before their death, or since their release from active duty for at least 5 years immediately before their death, or for at least 1 year before their death if they were a former prisoner of war who died after September 30th, 1999. So it's a 1 year, being a 100% for 1 year former prisoner of war, 5 years released from active duty, or 10 years from if you've just had it for if it's after those things. Note here is total disabling means the veteran's injuries made it impossible for them to work. Well, we know that total is 100%, so then them putting that phrase in there makes me also believe that that would qualify under TDIU, which is paid at 100%, and that should also be applicable. With that, we'll go ahead and conclude it. I really appreciate you so much. Thanks for watching. I know this one was a bit of a long one, but it's very important for our loved ones. So thanks again so much. Thanks for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, if we don't take care of each other, something went wrong.